All right, how we doing? How we doing? Big boys.
Woo!
As always, it's Big Boy Sports. One of the hosts, Aaron Fine Silver. We've got Chino, and we've
What
got
up?
a very special guest today
Oh,
from my
special.
scene, from my comedy scene. Give it up for John Moore.
Well, thank you so much. A
There's
special
10,000
guest. That's
people
very
here.
nice.
Basically, we got rid of John, we got rid of Brecco, and we replaced him with the new
Yeah.
John because he had to go to bed. Because who goes to bed before 11 o'clock on a freaking Tuesday? Like that's
Hey, what a lame, what a loser.
he's probably he's probably crying about Cody Rhodes losing. He's like, I can't face the music. I
Oh,
can't.
we're
talk
gonna
to
start
Dan
there.
about
I
it."
see.
No, hey, we're not even. I don't even think we're gonna even. We'll save the wrestling talk for
Yeah,
for when
we'll
John.
save it for
We'll
Thursday.
save the wrestling. Come back. I just found out that John Moore's a Bears fan. I don't know how. I don't know how. Like this show used to be two Eagles fan, a Giants fan, and a Lions fan. Now it's a Lions, Bears, and Giants fan. Like we're just switching conferences over here.
Yeah, like I was saying before we started recording, man, my family's been in Indiana longer than the Colts have been, so we've always been, hardcore Bears fans. So that Super Bowl in 06, 07 was an awkward time for me, but it's starting to look good being a Bears fan. We've got Justin Fields. I liked what Eberflus is trying to do. We made that big trade for DJ Moore. I like what they did, getting rid of the number one pick. So yeah, man, a big Bears fan. It's also baseball season just started. I'm a big Cardinals fan, so the new rule changes have been cool to kind of see how they've integrated those. So,
But
but
you're
I'm happy to be here.
So
Yeah, man.
you're like me, dude. Like that's crazy because I thought I was the only person that like I love so I like the Pacers, but I hate the Pistons. But I love the Lions. I'm a huge Lions fan, but I don't like the Bears. Like I'm a Cubs. Well, I was a Cubs fan. Then they won the World Series, and that's the whole hype of the Cubs. You start seeing every woman on Tinder has a Cubs beanie, and I'm like, come on now, like you don't even know who even an active player was on that team, and don't say Schwarber because he's from IU. If you're from Indiana, I'm like, oh, Schwarber's on the team. Like, no. Like if you can't name two or three Cubs that was on that World Series team, then you're not a Cubs fan. You're a bandwagon fan. I've been a Rockies fan since I was a little kid too. Um, so that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool to know that's you can love one team from a city, but you being a Bears fan, but you're like, yeah, I like the Cardinals. Like, yeah, if me and you both went to Chicago and we went to like a Bears game, and you're like, yeah, go Bears, but you're wearing a Cardinals shirt, they're gonna beat your ass, dude.
Yeah, no, definitely. I've definitely gotten some sideways looks when I kind of laid out those allegiances, and it's kind of based on like where I'm from. I grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana, which is like basically 3.5, 4 hours from Chicago, 3.5, like 2.5, 3 hours from St. Louis. So it's basically equidistance from either or. So I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people from my hometown are kind of there's a lot of Cardinals fans, there's a lot of Cubs fans, and then there's the sad ass Reds fans too.
Yeah.
Sadly for those guys.
Do you
I
think
guess
it might be? You think it might be because of the meth, John? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chino. The only reason I cut him off is because Terre Haute is like not probably the nicest area. It's kind of like if you was thinking of like one of the lower boroughs out there on the East
I
Coast,
mean it's in the
like
name, Terre Haute.
eh,
Terre Haute.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
and here's the thing, the
What?
crazy thing, I lost my virginity in that town. That's the crazy part about it. Like, I don't know.
Did it hurt?
It hurt. It hurt when she didn't text me back. That
Speaks volumes. Nah. Well,
what?
pretty much, I'm on New York. I'm a New York Giants, New York Mets. I think the only thing that's different for me is basketball. I'm a Heat fan. I used to be a New Jersey Nets fan, but then they decided to
hurt.
go to Brooklyn,
Riley, hurt
and so
Riley.
yeah, I decided to leave them since they decided to leave us. And the only reason I picked the Heat, believe it or not, two reasons. Dwayne Wade was on fire in '08. Like he was those few years in his first 3-4 years of his career, he was on fire. He should have been MVP '09. But anyway, that's another conversation. And then they started the team in '88. I was born in '88, so I'm like, it's destiny. And
That's
then
me and the Rock.
2000, yeah,
That's
and
me
then
and the Rock.
2010 came and LeBron came in, and that was kind of hard to hear a bunch of bandwagon be Heat fans. But thank God they're gone. Oh man, but yeah, man, I'm a Mets fan. We got our asses whooped yesterday and today,
Yeah.
horribly.
Baseball report. Let's see. I haven't even been paying attention. The
And it's
crazy
still
thing.
early.
To
We
talk
got our
about.
asses whooped yesterday 10-0, and then today 9-0 by the Brewers. So yeah, I'm gonna go
Just
cry after this.
just tagging on to what you said about the Heat. Even outside of the LeBron stuff, that organization, top to bottom, is just run like a well-oiled machine. You
Yeah,
have
I
Pat
agree.
Riley, and Eric Spoelstra should be looked at as like one of the top coaches in the NBA year after year. The
Yeah,
guy
I agree.
built came up from nothing as a video coordinator and just understands
Yeah,
the game of basketball at a really high level. And I don't think he gets he gets enough. Like I don't think he gets enough credit for it,
he's
especially
very
coming
underrated.
in. Yeah, coming in with that big three, he definitely was overlooked, and I think only Pat Riley could have made that decision to put him in that position.
Yeah, you also got to remember that he won 1,000 games, and we can only name a few coaches that won 1,000 games. And what I like about Spo is that he does the best with what he has. I mean, he's obviously not Pat Riley, but what I respect about him a lot is that he treats everybody the same. I don't know if you remember last year, him and Butler went at it like it looked like they were going to fight. But then, I guess whatever he told Butler, Butler came back. He knew he was wrong. He apologized, and then we went on like almost like a 14-game winning streak. We got into the playoffs and beat the first round. So it's like right now, the only thing I can say about the Heat is that we're literally just one key player away. I don't even need a star. I just need a key player, a role player that can make open shots and can play defense. We're pretty good on defense because when we lose, it's always under 100, and when we win, it's always over 100. So I like our odds. Now, can we beat a Boston? Can we beat a Sixers right now? In the Game 7 series, I like our chances with Sixers. Boston's another hand. I mean, they're like you said, another fucking coach that's doing a good job stepping in for out of nowhere. Obviously, you know what happened with I can't pronounce his last name. Sorry.
Nudaku or some shit.
Yeah,
I don't know how to
yeah.
say it either.
Yeah, but what I mean, so I like our chances in the East, but we just literally just need a key player. It's not going to be our year this year. If we win it, I'm just speaking hypothetical. I'll be surprised, but no, I don't see us going too far in the playoffs. Maybe the first round, but that's it pretty much for me. I'm being honest. But yeah, man, I I can't really expect too much from Jimmy Butler. He's been doing everything. I don't know if y'all watched the game today. He was doing horrible, like horrible. And then the fourth quarter came, and I forgot about the first 3 quarters. Like he killed it. He ended up with 28 points, like 15 or 16 points was in the fourth quarter. Dude is killing it, man. I'm
I feel like
excited.
feel like Jimmy is just one of those guys that has that switch, and you just know he's one of those dudes that you would not like if he wasn't in the NBA, you would not want to see him in the streets. Like you just like you do not want to like be on Jimmy Butler's bad side, and I feel like the shit he talks probably pisses guys off even more because it's probably hilarious too,
Yeah,
and he's just like getting guys so deep. I mean, I think you mentioned like being like that one role player away. I feel like every team in the East is looking for that stretch forward that can
true. I agree.
guard 1 through 4 and hit an open three. I think in the East, like because I play fantasy basketball and
Okay, yeah.
my team has been carried by Embiid all season, and it was really hard for me as a Pacers fan to draft him with like the 5th or 6th pick in my draft.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's a great pick for the 5th round, bro. I
yeah,
mean, for the first fifth pick.
yeah. And it was hard for me to root for his success, but
I'm a Heat fan. He's in our division, so yeah, I'm with you.
yeah. So I don't think I think whoever wins the NBA Finals this year will be from the East. I think the East has been like top to bottom better than the West, but I don't know, man. As a Pacers fan, I've kind of my basketball interest has just kind of waned after the
Yeah,
All-Star break. It's Darren can probably testify to this. It's just been uh, we'll win 2 or 3 games and then lose 6 in a row, and
Oh, and
then
it's horrible. And I was going to a lot of games this year. I had a buddy of mine hook me up with tickets, and in the first half of the season, we was doing good. We was in like the fourth or fifth like seed, and we was getting talked about on ESPN. And it's like this shit's like okay, cool. Pacers are looking good, and then we made some trades. Then we got freaking George Hill again. I mean, we I don't know why. It's like the thing is, Pacers they do stupid shit. They don't make decisions that are best for basketball. Like, don't get me wrong, like Lance Stevenson, okay, like you know, good player, decent player at best. You're not going to dog his career, but we brought him back just to get the fans to come to games. Like
the
we wasn't
nostalgic.
100,
we wasn't
100%.
we wasn't getting a player so we can make a playoff run. We could have got players to make a run like George Hill. We should. I get why they got George Hill so the players can learn from somebody. But we was winning. We was beating good teams. Like we beat the Warriors. We beat the Lakers. We beat these teams. That are stacked teams in their home stadium. So we already knew what we was doing. We don't need to bring George Hill, who's somebody that at one point in time, George Hill is a great addition to have on a team. You run it down George Hill, Paul George. You got the George. You got the George guys out there, and it's a good team. And you got Miles George or not Miles George. You got Miles Turner. See, I'm keeping the Georges. We got Miles Turner. At center. That's a team. You've got a team. Now you're just bringing a guy that I just went to that game last week, last Friday or last Monday, and what I said was not yesterday, but the week before. The week after or whatever. I can't get my time right. But anyway, it was that Mavericks game, and as soon as we was hanging in, we was down like maybe 5-6 points. As soon as they put as soon as they put George Hill in, we're just getting blown out, And I get it, they got Doncic, I get it, they got Kyrie, so they're gonna have a stacked team. It was, our chances of winning the game was slim to none anyway. But you put this guy out here, and it's just like, man, it's like you're already just throwing in the flag. You're like, yep, we're not gonna win today, but we still got to finish the next 40 minutes, like
Yeah,
it's just like no, like don't get me wrong, like and the thing is if he's somebody that you put in for a couple plays, whatever, that's fine. But this dude shouldn't be running out there for a quarter, 2 quarters, and that's the thing that's wrong with the Pacers is they always do hype signings.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not trying to cut you off. I feel like from looking outside in within, I feel like losing Larry Bird kind of hurt a lot too because he was putting pieces together. He was
I
doing
mean,
it like he would, especially in 2012, 2013, those 2 seasons. Pacers was the only team that was actually giving the Heat some
we
trouble. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, we
right.
used to, like I said, we used to be good. Like, and granted, it was Reggie Miller days and stuff. But there was times in the playoffs we swept the Celtics. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, it was times where we made runs. It's like we could
yeah.
have. But then, I hate to say it, but LeBron James was our kryptonite. Like I said, we don't have Larry, and
It
then
didn't matter what team you was in. Yeah,
and then
like
Yeah,
it sounds like I'm talking shit because I'm a Heat fan, but it's true. It's like
no, yeah,
I forgot who was the journalist who brought it up. When Michael Jordan played, he played against a few super teams, and his records against those super teams was like 2-8, like in the
yeah,
playoffs.
yeah.
LeBron so far, besides the finals, he's beaten everybody in front of him. I feel like, and I gotta say this because if people start paying attention, ever since 2010, every time he went to the playoffs, besides 2010, he was always the underdog. They always picked the team before him. The only time they picked the Heat, or they said the Heat should win it, was against the Dallas Mavericks, and he lost it that year.
right.
But
Like I
every
beat,
season
yeah,
after that, they even said OKC should have beat the Heat. I will never forget that because I'm like, why are y'all picking OKC? Spurs. Well, obviously Spurs should have beat us the first year, but hey, thank God. I I thank God for LeBron because 13 straight points before that number that 3-pointer. People forget that. Oh, that 3-pointer said no. The 13 straight points before that 3-pointer got him to that point. But I honestly, Pacers, y'all need to start all over from the inside out, man, from top to bottom, not just the
I
players.
wouldn't. I wouldn't go that far because here you go. Tyrese is an all-star. Tyrese Halliburton is an all-star point guard.
He will be an all-star
Benedict,
anyway, though. To be honest.
yeah, he would be. He would be. But he's the kind of guy we just re-signed Miles because Tyrese is there.
Yeah.
Benedict Mathurin is going to finish second in Rookie of the Year voting this year, in my
Wait,
opinion. If
wait,
you
wait,
look,
wait, wait. Wait, who you got winning Rookie of the Year?
Blanchero.
I
yeah, Paolo
Paulo
has a bit of
Blanchero, dog. He's killing
yeah.
it. He's serious.
He's on the worst team as well. But if you look at their numbers, him and Benedict, it's eerily similar. Benedict scores about 2 to 3.5 less points a game on about 5 or 6 less shots a game. He doesn't rebound at the clip that Paulo does. I think he's not as good at the defensive end as Paulo at this point. I think he's improved over the year. But to be honest, I think they're missing a four. They have no one to really play the four. They made that move that Darren was talking about bringing in George Hill. Jordan Nora was the big part of that trade too, right? And he's another one of those guys. What the Pacers love to do, and what they've done over the last couple of years, is they love to get guys that other teams have drafted late in the lottery that they've given up on. You look at God, I call him Goggles. I can't think of his name now. Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith from the Suns. He was drafted, I think, 18th, 19th overall. Traded for him last year. The Suns had given up on him. They traded for Aaron Naismith. That was part of the Brogdon deal from the Celtics. He was, the number 15 or 16 pick, 2 or 3 years ago. So I think that's what the Pacers have tried to do they've tried to kind of take from other teams that have given up. The Celtics have, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, so Aaron Naismith wasn't getting minutes. So I think that's what they've tried to do, and that's small market mentality. I think Kevin Pritchard has tried to do what he can. He's definitely, you mentioned Larry, he's definitely still got Larry on speed dial. I think he's got like a special advisor role with the team. He's
Yeah.
still smoking Marlboro ultralights underneath the seats in Banker's Life or whatever it's called now. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say top to bottom tear down. They're 2 or 3 pieces away. I'm not sure Carlisle's the guy to do it either. He's too old school in my opinion at this point. But I think what we saw though is a team that is talented, that can win games, but they can't sustain it over an 82 games. It's the NBA season is not a sprint. It's 82 games. It's a marathon. It's grueling. You got to be. You have those back to backs, and those young guys sometimes they can't turn it on mentally. Like I said, Jimmy Butler is one of those guys that just has a switch. Sometimes it takes guys 2-3 years to find that switch to just kind of flip it on night in and night out.
Yeah. It's a lot of work happening. It's going to be a few seasons before I feel like Pacers. But I agree with the George Carlisle. He's anywhere he went, he's probably a good assistant coach. I'm not going to sit here and trash the man like that because his legacy speaks volumes. But at this stage of his career, it doesn't hurt being either in the office or an assistant coach, man, because you have something to give, you have some sort of value, but you these young guys are different. They're not the same as the '90s. It's not the same as the early 2000s, where their players are scared of coaches.
Right.
Now, players don't fear coaches. They don't even care what you say.
Now they'll go to the locker room at halftime and tweet, "Yeah, my coach is an idiot." Blah blah blah.
Yeah, exactly. So I honestly feel like almost what you said, John, earlier. The East probably has the championship this year, but then also I got to pay attention to what's happening in the West. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say the Lakers are going to win it, But honestly, I'm not surprised if they make a real run because since the playoff, I mean, since All Star, there were negative 500. They just became 500. They're already over 40 wins, and when just seeing that, and this before what you call the trade too. Since the trade, they've been killing it.
Nah, you
Yeah,
know
their
who's getting
defensive
nah
efficiency.
nah
Yeah,
you
but
know who's getting a ring this year?
oh,
He's getting another ring, and you're wearing the color, the Suns. They're getting yeah, oh yeah. I think they're gonna get it, man. I think they're gonna get it.
as much as I want Chris Paul to win it, I don't see it happening.
I think they're gonna get it. Yeah, I think they're like the 4th seed right now or something like that. But I'm call me crazy, but I'm buying into
Crazy.
I'm buying into the Suns hype, man. Like that was the cool thing is when they made the NBA Finals, I was so mad because I think I've said it before. Like I'm a Bucks. I like the Pacers, but I like the Bucks. I like the Raptors when it comes to NBA teams. Like those are always been the teams I liked as a kid, and it was like the Suns in the city I'm living in versus the Bucks, like probably one of my all time favorite teams. And I was like, man, I was torn. Like I've always wanted to be in a city that they had a parade in, but at the same
Yeah,
time, I was like, I want my team to win, you know. But I'm buying into the hype. I am buying into that Suns hype. They're looking good. I mean, you got
They're fucking stacked. I
yeah,
mean,
that's true.
the Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant, that dude. I mean, I just don't think he cares. If he cared about basketball the way LeBron cares about basketball, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't think anyone would. I think he would score 60 points a night. If he cared the way LeBron cares the way LeBron cares the way about basketball, no one would stop Kevin Durant. But I
man.
just don't think
I pretty hold on before you say something. I actually, being honest right now, no jokes. I appreciate you how you worded it about if he cared like, as LeBron because you want every player to care like LeBron because he is the pinnacle. Whether people remember, no, in the 20 years, sorry about the noise. In the 20 years that LeBron played, he's always been the guy. Michael had to play a good 2 seasons before he was considered the guy, and then he had to play 9 NBA seasons before he even won a playoff series. So that's why I'm like, I hate sounding like a Michael Jordan hater. I'm not a hater. I appreciate him. He's definitely up there on top. But when we talk about goats of basketball, LeBron is the goat. You know what I mean, I know people don't want to hear that, but we're not talking about the best basketball shooter, best defense. We're talking about best basketball player.
yeah,
Nobody has
longevity
to
has
do
to
LeBron.
count.
So that's why I appreciate you how you said it. If he gave
The
a fuck
only
Yeah,
like LeBron gives a fuck.
the
Because we
only
yeah.
want
thing
every player to give a fuck like LeBron.
the
Like
only
that's why I was sorry. Just to just say this and then I'll let you
Yeah,
know.
no, yeah.
If people, this is why I say Jimmy Butler is really underrated. He hates losing, and when we lose, it's like something goes under his ass. Like he is the reason we're winning right now. Yeah, it's a team sport, but this man's been playing lights out the past few weeks, and then like the past before today's game, the last 2 games were buzzer beaters. Now I mean, so it's like he's doing it what he's got to do, but that's why I said we need one more key role player. But go ahead, my bad, Darren.
no, you're good, man. You're good. So I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to sign some old heads over here, and we're talking about the LeBron versus Jordan thing. The only thing is that league was like a whole like different league, though. I mean, the Jordan league. You know what I mean? Like that was just a whole different like game plan. Like you had Bill and Beer, and you had the Detroit Bad Boys, and like, you had the Larry Birds, and you had all this stuff that's like like all these different rivalries. Like I'm not saying, like now we've got more factions. Now it's like okay, cool. We've everybody has a big three pretty much. I mean, I know we don't technically, the Pacers don't really, but the majority of the
We
teams
don't.
the majority of teams, pretty much got a big three, or at least they've got like a duo. They got like a duo. We're back in like the Jordan era. Is like you did have a lot of teams that was kind of just like mid grade teams. You know what I mean? Like yeah, Pacers were they were hot for a little bit, but you had a lot of mid grade teams. But then you had like a stacked like Eastern Conference. Like that Eastern Conference was like stacked. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like it was like anybody could win. Now it's like you pretty much you can watch you watch Sports Center and you look at a graph of standings and you're like, okay, I know what team can probably gonna it's probably gonna win a best of seven series. You can pretty much pick. But back then it was like it was like football. Any given night, you don't know who's gonna win. It's you got Bird versus Lambeer. That's a battle in its own right. You know what I mean? Like dudes, white boys over here throwing punches at each other. You know what I mean?
No,
Like
I agree.
that's a
But
whole
that's why I
different.
said it. Look, that's why I'm mentioning Michael Jordan. He never beat what you call Larry Bird in the playoffs. Never. He
Yeah.
never beat and we're talking about GOAT. We're talking about in his prime.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And this is like it sounds like I'm throwing shade, but you can't name not one player that LeBron didn't beat or dominate. You can't. You want to name KD? He beat him with OKC. You know what I mean? You want to name Curry? He beat him. He came back from 3-1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I love the conversation because it should be had. You know what I mean? People want to compare him to Kareem. Kareem
I
been
mean,
in 10 finals, won 6. LeBron been in what,
I
11
mean,
now?
I don't know.
11
Here's
and
my
won
here's my
4.
here, but here's my thing though, and I'm not trying to get LeBron's side because I mean I
No,
get
no,
it.
no, no, you good.
LeBron. No, I'm gonna admit this. LeBron's a hell of a player. I don't care, but I'm gonna say this, and because Darren hasn't had a hot take this whole entire episode, but I think if it would have been in their primes, and I don't care what you say, I don't think LeBron James. You could pick him on the Heat, Lakers, Cleveland, whatever team we pick, you put LeBron on, put him on whatever squad. Don't build a squad. Don't start putting random players. Don't start putting, Anthony Davis and D Wade and shit. Don't start build. Let's not build a team here. But I don't think if you pick a LeBron squad, a LeBron led squad, I don't think they would have beat the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Bad Boys in a series. I don't see that. I don't see that happening. I just don't see it. I feel like because here's the thing, Jordan couldn't do it all on his own. That's the thing. Jordan couldn't do
I
he
agree.
could he could and that's the thing. A lot of people they don't get. They think, oh, Jordan's the GOAT. He did this. No, Jordan wouldn't have won any of those championships if he didn't have Rodman, if he didn't have Pippen. Like it's just more of a story. Is he did have to have those people, but at the same time, the only time LeBron's ever and I'm not dogging, but has ever done anything without any help is that was in his first couple years with Cleveland, and he got them in the playoffs, and he took nobody's in the playoffs, and that's where LeBron was lethal, but he had no help. So he's over here. Your guy is Suzuka's or whatever. You got this European dude, and you got this tall Brazilian dude. Like if LeBron, like the thing is, if LeBron would have had some lethal people in his early days, I think maybe the early Cavaliers team could do something, but I don't think in general. I don't think a LeBron team could beat the Bad Boys. I feel like they
It's
would dominate it. That's my hot take. Go with it.
yeah.
What you want.
I'll let you
I
go,
just think
John. Go ahead, John.
yeah.
I'll answer
I just
afterwards.
yeah. No, I just think that take is it's just hard. It's hard to make that just because they're different eras. That's like there was some old head, some old football head that was talking about he doesn't respect the modern football game because it's completely different. You watch an old CBS on the NFL on CBS highlight, and every hit in that highlight reel is now an illegal hit
Yeah.
that you'd see. So it's tough because you could say, well, LeBron didn't play in a physical era, but he also in a load management era, showed up. Basically every night. He didn't quit to play baseball. That's always another argument. He didn't get caught up in a gambling debt, which maybe didn't or did not happen. But no, it's one of those things. Like we're debating greatness, right? Like, and it becomes one of those things that you have to pick around with a fine tooth comb. Like, I think that TJ McConnell probably would have been an MVP if he would have played in the era of Bob Cousy. He has that kind
I,
of game.
I agree with that, man. That's a scrappy dude right there. That's a
100%.
scrappy dude. I mean,
Like, so it's just one of those things. So if TJ McConnell played before the 3-point line, he probably would have been an MVP. But, it's just, it's, I get it. It's, you have to, take it is for what it is. But, I kind of hate that argument of comparing eras, and I really try and stay away from the LeBron Jordan thing. I think the Kobe Jordan thing is more of a better comparison because of the style of players they were. I think LeBron is a way better facilitator than the both of them. He's a better rebounder than the both of them. Great, one of the greatest players of all time, maybe the greatest player. I haven't personally seen anyone better in real life. I've been lucky enough to. I had a half season ticket for the Pacers last year, so I saw. LeBron has been a lot. I was at the game where he had the fan kicked out, so that was and that's another thing. People always want to bring up. He's a drama queen. He gets upset, but he also does a ton for his community, and is the kind of person a lot of people would want to. You didn't see him in a club with a gun, like not to.
Never see him gambling.
Yeah, yeah. So
Nah, I agree. I agree with you with the combining eras, but I get why people compare basketball players. I think will be, and maybe I'm speaking out of line here, but I think anybody that doesn't believe LeBron could play in any era, whether it's obviously 70, but he would have been a top player in the 80s and 90s had he played then. Because think about it, what 18-year-old? I think Kobe, not even Kobe, was called the next anybody. Since the moment this kid was in the 10th, 11th grade, he was already had Sports Illustrated looking at him, like since the beginning. You know what I mean? And you know what? I'm noticing. I'm 34, so I noticed this a long time ago. If they're not hating on you, you're not doing something right.
right,
You know what I mean? I get it. People pissed at him on how he left the Cleveland first. He joined. People couldn't go somewhere with that because they didn't say
2
nothing
minute
about
warning.
what happened.
2 minute warning.
Okay, well, I'll say this in 30 seconds. Boston had a super team, and LeBron was in Cleveland. He couldn't pass that hump. He couldn't,
right,
and I get it. You got one of the best. Curry is the only person that's better than Ray Allen is shooting. Then you had one of the best paint protectors in KG,
yep.
and then you have Paul Pierce, where his name was what you called it. What was his name?
The truth.
What you say again?
I think the truth.
The
Paul
truth.
Pierce,
The
right?
truth. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it's like to break it
and
down. I'm not mad at LeBron. I'm more mad at KD for leaving a team that will almost beat the Warriors to join the Warriors.
right,
So,
right.
but I get it. I get it. He wanted the ring. I'm not going to be mad at him. It is what it is. Super teams always existed. They always existed. It's
Yep.
just when LeBron did it, that's when it got a name super team. Now it's a super team. That's how much of a powerful player he is. Anybody that plays with him is super team. But yeah, man, go ahead.
And with that being said, super teams with Chino, super teams with John, super teams with anybody that's watching this. And we'll be back. We'll be back. We will be back with the next John and another John next time you see us, Little John, Big John. And keep on being fat, keep on being big boys, and we'll keep getting get the hits coming.